There is a test that doctors use to predict how long you have left to live. It doesn't involve drawing blood. It doesn't involve an MRI machine, and it doesn't involve checking your heart rate. It involves simply sitting on the floor and trying to get up. It sounds trivial, but for someone over the age of 65, this simple act is the single most accurate predictor of mortality in the next 6 years. It is called the sitting rising test, and if you cannot do it, you need to listen very carefully, because your body is sending you a warning signal that your structural integrity is failing. Imagine this scenario. It is 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You are alone in your house. You trip on the edge of the carpet. You fall. You are not hurt. Nothing is broken, but you are on the floor. You try to push yourself up, but your arms shake. You try to swing your leg under you, but your hip doesn't have the power. You try to grab the sofa, but it is just out of reach. You are trapped in your own living room, in your own home. This terrifying scenario has a medical name. It is called the long lie. It refers to a person who has fallen and remains on the floor for more than 1 hour. And here is the grim reality that nobody talks about. Even if you didn't break a bone, staying on the floor for hours triggers a chemical cascade that can kill you. The pressure of your own body weight against the hard floor begins to crush your muscle tissue. This is called rhabdomyolysis. Your muscles break down and release a protein called myoglobin into your bloodstream. These proteins travel to your kidneys and clog them like sand in a filter. Within hours, you can go into kidney failure. Half of all seniors who experience a long lie of more than 6 hours pass away within 6 months, not from the fall, but from the muscle breakdown. So why can't you get up? Why does the body that carried you for 70 years suddenly fail you on the floor? The answer lies in a silent disease called sarcopenia. From the age of 30, you lose about 3 to 5% of your muscle mass per decade. But it is not just any muscle. You lose your type 2 fast-twitch fibers first. These are the power fibers, the engines. They are the muscles in your quadriceps and your glutes that give you the explosive power to push your body weight up against gravity. When you fail the floor test, it means your engine has become too small for your chassis. You are driving a truck with a lawnmower engine. You have lost your functional reserve. You might be fine walking to the kitchen or sitting in a chair, but the moment you face a high-demand situation like getting off the floor, the engine stalls. This is why we treat the sitting rising test as a survival metric. It is not about fitness, it is about escape. If you need to use your hands, your knees, and the side of a table to get up, you have lost points. If you cannot get up at all, you are in the red zone. You are living with zero margin for error. But the floor is just the first indicator. There is a second failure happening in your body right now. It is not about strength, it is about flexibility. And losing it doesn't just make you stiff, it robs you of your dignity. It prevents you from doing the most basic, intimate tasks of daily life. Let's look at the toe touch and why a rigid spine is the first step towards needing a caregiver. First step towards needing a caregiver. We often dismiss flexibility as something for athletes or yoga teachers. We say, "I'm old, of course I'm stiff, it's normal." But it is not just stiffness, it is calcification, and the price of this stiffness is your dignity. Let's talk about the toe touch test. Stand with your legs straight and try to touch your toes. Can you reach past your knees? Can you touch your shins? Or can you reach the floor? If you cannot reach past your knees, you are in trouble. Not because you can't stretch, but because you cannot reach your own feet. Think about what happens when you lose this range of motion. You cannot put on your own socks. You cannot tie your own shoes. You cannot cut your own toenails.
And most humiliating of all, you may struggle to clean yourself properly in the bathroom. This is the threshold where independence ends. This is the moment you have to ask a stranger or your daughter to help you with intimate tasks. It is a psychological blow that many seniors never recover from. So why does the body turn into stone? It is a process of desiccation. You are drying out. Inside your spine, between every vertebrae, there is a disc. When you are 20, these discs are like plump, juicy grapes. They allow you to bend, twist, and fold. But as you age, the blood supply to these discs disappears. They begin to shrink. They turn into raisins. Your spine loses its shock absorbers and its hinges. At the same time, your fascia is changing. Fascia is the white, web-like tissue that wraps around every muscle in your body. In a young body, fascia is wet and slippery. It glides. In an aging body, it becomes dehydrated. It becomes sticky. It turns into a hard, leather-like suit of armor that traps you inside your own skin. This is why you feel frozen in the morning. But here is the good news. Unlike the discs in your spine, which are hard to regrow, your fascia is responsive. It responds to one thing: movement. If you stop bending, the leather hardens, the armor locks. But if you force the movement, gently, every single day, you pump water back into the tissue, you lubricate the suit. You don't need to be a gymnast. You just need to maintain the functional arc, the arc that allows your hand to reach your foot. Because as long as you can reach your foot, you can put on your shoe. And as long as you can put on your shoe, you can walk out the front door on your own terms. But walking out that door requires more than just flexibility. It requires a navigation system that works. And for millions of seniors, that system is glitching. They are walking on a phantom leg. Let's look at the third failure, the one that breaks hips, the single leg stand. Walking on a phantom leg. Human beings are bipedal. We walk on two legs. But when you walk for 60% of the time, you are actually on one leg. Every step you take is a temporary act of balancing on a single limb while the other swings forward. Walking is just a series of controlled falls. So, here is the one-leg test. Stand near a wall for safety. Lift 1 foot off the ground. Don't touch the wall unless you fall. Count. 1, 2, 3. Can you last 10 seconds? If you put your foot down at 3 seconds, or if you wobble violently, you have a broken gyroscope. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine tracked nearly 2,000 seniors for a decade. The results were chilling. Those who could not hold this pose for 10 seconds were nearly twice as likely to die within the next 10 years from any cause. Why? Because balance is not just a muscle skill, it is a brain skill. It requires 3 systems to work perfectly in sync. 1. Vision. Your eyes tell you where the horizon is. 2. Vestibular. Your inner ear tells you if you are tilting. 3. Proprioception. The sensors in your feet tell you where the ground is. When you wobble, it means the signal between these 3 systems is lagging. Your brain is receiving old data. You are operating with a delay. And in the real world, a delay means a fall. Think of your body as a camera tripod. It is stable because it has 3 legs. But as you age, you lose the sensitivity in your feet, neuropathy. That is leg 1 gone. Your vision gets blurry. Leg 2 is shaky. You are trying to stand on one leg, the inner ear. It is unstable. it crashes. And when it crashes, you break a hip. We mentioned the long lie earlier, but let's look at the fracture itself. A hip fracture is the end horizon for many seniors. Once it happens, the gravity of the hospital pulls you in. Surgery, infection, pneumonia, blood clots. The inability to stand on one leg is the biggest predictor of this spiral. But you can fix the tripod. You can recalibrate the sensors. But there is one final test, a test that challenges the master computer itself, the brain. Most exercise focuses on the muscles, but we need to exercise the cerebellum, the part of your brain that coordinates movement. And the only way to do that is to do something totally unnatural. We need to walk backwards. Let's look at the final indicator, the reverse walk, and why it is the only vaccine against motor dementia. The reverse walk test. Find a clear hallway. Can you walk backwards, toe to heel, for 10 steps, without looking and without losing your line? If you can't, or if you are terrified to try, your brain is stuck in automatic mode. You see, walking forward is easy. You have done it since you were 1 year old. It is hardwired into your spinal cord and the primitive parts of your brain. It requires zero thought. You can walk forward while talking, while looking at your phone, while daydreaming. It is an autopilot function. But walking backwards, that is a high-level command. It forces your brain to switch off the autopilot and take manual control. It wakes up the cerebellum, the balance center, and the frontal cortex, the planning center. It forces them to talk to each other. Where is the foot? How is the weight shifting? What is behind me? This intense mental effort triggers neurogenesis. You are literally forcing your brain to grow new neural pathways. You are building a new map of your body in space. It is the cognitive equivalent of driving off-road. If you never challenge your brain with complex movement, the maps fade, the connections rust, and one day you forget how to coordinate a simple stumble. Walking backwards is the drill that keeps the system online. The conclusion. We have looked at the floor test, the toe touch, the one leg stand, and the reverse walk. Why do these matter? You might say, I don't plan on sitting on the floor or walking backwards, but that misses the point. These movements are your functional reserve. Think of it like a bank account. If your expenses are $2,000 a month and you only have $2,000 in the bank, you are safe until the car breaks down. Then you are bankrupt. Your physical independence works the same way. If you only have just enough strength to get off a high chair, what happens when you fall in the bathtub? If you only have just enough balance to walk on a flat carpet, what happens when you step on a patch of ice? You have no reserve. You have no margin for error. And without margin, accidents become fatalities. The floor test is not a game. It is a warning light on your dashboard. If you failed any of these tests today, do not panic, but do not ignore it. The body is forgiving. Muscle can be rebuilt at 80. Fascia can be hydrated at 90. The brain can be rewired until the very end, but you must start. Get on the floor, struggle,